Uh. Tori Productions.
It's Rip TV.
Rip TV Productions.
Yeah. We are here with our good friend Tori, who we did the podcast with last time. Some of you might have seen it, might know us from that. It was pretty popular, so we decided to
Start our own.
Yeah, give a shot at creating our own podcast.
Yep.
I'm Joe.
I'm April. We've been together for about 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah. We met in a singles group about 3 years ago.
Yeah, it'll be 3 years in May.
In May. What is going on outside?
Oh, God.
There's some street racing going on
somebody-
outside.
Hope the microphones are picking that up.
Yeah. So we're not crazy.
It's pretty serious.
Yeah. Some dire stuff going on out there.
Right.
But yeah, we met in a singles group at a friend's house at a house party, like we'd said in our previous podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are, strong, 3 singles groups later.
They're not that great. Just to let
No.
everybody-
They're better than dating apps, but
That's true. That's true.
yeah,
Dating apps are a nightmare.
yeah, because it would have never happened based on your Tinder profile alone.
Thanks.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
One bad picture is all it took, huh?
It was so. I wish I took screenshots.
I still have that picture somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll
Geico-
post it on the feed for this
Geico
later
Caveman,
on.
eat your heart out.
Yeah. Hey, we just found out who the Geico Caveman was.
Yeah, this
In case anybody knows who Jeff Daniel Phillips is,
Yeah.
great actor. He's in a lot of the Rob Zombie movies, which I love.
Yeah.
He
What were
is
we
the
watching?
Geico Caveman.
We were
Yeah,
watching
he's in
Dexter New Blood.
Original Sin.
Original Sin.
Original Sin.
Sorry. Yeah. Dexter Original Sin. Good show, by the way. Very good show.
She likes it more than
He's
I do.
not a fan.
It's okay.
I think the characters the actors that they picked to do the characters from the original show are pretty dead on. I think
A
the guy
lot
that's
of
playing
people-
Dexter, I don't know his name. The
I'm
young
not
guy.
a big fan of the guy playing Dexter. I don't think it's that great of casting, but it seems like from most of the people we've talked to, they didn't like the casting of young
Deborah. Yeah. I
So-
don't. She's.
It leaves you speechless, huh?
Yeah. I was like, what words can I say or not say?
Bruh.
Yeah.
I mean,
I remember Deb being like an asshole
Yeah.
in the Dexter the original Dexter series, but God,
I mean, I'm an
she was
asshole.
Awful teenager. She was a
yeah, no, I'm an
god-awful
asshole, but she's a whole nother level and not pleasant at all.
Oh yeah, she gives whole new, to teenage hormones.
Yeah. Well, you're getting to live that with my daughter. So,
Yeah.
How fun is that experience?
Not at all.
She's not
Nope.
bad.
No. His teenage daughter started at 10 years old as teenage, so that's
She's only 11. She's about to turn 12 in, what's today's date? The 15th?
A
So in
week
7
and a
days?
half,
Yeah.
two-
No, a week.
Yeah.
Exactly 1 week from now.
yeah. And yeah, it's bad. Her hormones are through the roof. I mean, it takes a lot to get you riled up.
It does.
And the last 2 days in a row, you
Yep.
guys have been at each other's throats.
Yep. That is true. So, and just to show that I am a big Rob Zombie fan, as you can see, it's Captain Spaulding on my cup.
I made this cup.
Did you make that cup or did I make that cup? Because I could have sworn I made this cup.
We made the cup. Oh, my bad. I don't want to put your boyfriend. I don't know.
Uh-huh. Hey, rest in peace, Sid Haig. All right.
Rest in peace. He was a lot.
So,
So, relationships and divorce. So, we met as friends. I was helping him kind of get through the separation and upcoming divorce from his wife of 12
at
years?
the time, 11 years.
11 years. Yeah. So, I wanted to be the person I knew I needed when I got out of my abusive relationship for 3.5 years. So it was just a lot of, hey, come out and do these things. And it kind of turned into a game between you and I where I would say I was collecting cherries because you had never been to a Raiders game or a soccer game,
Cruise.
a cruise. Yeah. So it got to the point where I was just like, all right, what else can I do to top the last thing that we did that you haven't done? That
Halloween Horror Nights.
Halloween Horror Nights was fun. Yeah. Although that was my first Halloween cruise.
Yeah.
That was the best. The whole ship was,
we had a
was
good
decked
time.
out in Halloween. It was
Other than
awesome.
the COVID that I caught on the last night.
The COVID.
Yeah, the
as
COVID.
in like the Facebook.
Yes, as in like the
That COVID.
showing my age there.
Yeah, the COVID.
The COVID.
Yeah. We should have known better because what was it? It was breakfast or brunch or something on the ship. It was the last day, full day, and he's like, what can I get you guys? And I'm looking at him.
Or waiter, not me.
Yeah, our waiter. Sorry, our waiter. Our waiter was like hacking up lungs and stuff. He said he had laryngitis, but I'm like, this fool has like the flu or something. We're all getting cooties. It's gonna be the outbreak ship.
And of course, it's only me that got it.
Yeah. So we go through the whole day. We're all feeling fine. That night, he's like, man, I got like a scratchy throat thing going on. And I was like, well, we've been doing, like, we were yelling over, like, we were doing like a lot of games and like
Christian
trivia
had
and
a
stuff.
scratchy throat too, so I really didn't think anything of it. And he didn't get sick. He never got COVID. So I thought it was just, us yelling and being loud and, trying to have a good time and stuff.
Yeah.
And,
and then at
my
like
voice
3 in the
was
morning, he wakes up
sweating, like just covered, like the whole bed was soaking wet.
Yeah.
I got
I
up.
thought he peed the bed. I woke up and I was like,
As
no,
soon
he
as I
did
came
not.
out from underneath the covers,
Ugh.
freezing cold, went and sat in the shower, turned the hot water on, just sitting in the bottom of the shower, letting the hot water fall over me because I was sweating so much it was disgusting.
It was
but
like
I
a
was
crying
freezing out
game.
from underneath.
And he's like in the field.
I'm just and then it's back and forth from the bed to the shower, just. And then the next day, we had to let them know that I wasn't feeling good, so they sent somebody down there with a COVID test, tested positive.
Mind you, we had to wait until all 3,000 passengers got off the ship.
Yep, they made us wait for everybody to evacuate the ship before we could leave.
Yeah.
And then they escorted us off the ship as
Like
though we were
tried to
criminals.
steal it.
Right, yep.
It was so embarrassing.
They took us through the back way out the dock and everything. It
was like a whole
like literally made me feel like more of a criminal than I have in the past.
Yeah.
So
it was bad. My son's looking around like, what did we do? Yeah. Good times.
So
Good
yeah,
times.
ended up having to miss 2 weeks of work
Yeah, you were.
after having a week off for the cruise.
Yeah.
Then sick for about 4 days or so, but then they wouldn't let me come back to work until
That's right. I forgot about that.
until they said until I tested negative
Yeah.
like 3 times or something like that. But they ended up allowing me to just go ahead and come back after sending them 1 negative test. But I wasn't allowed to come into the office. I had to stay out of the office the entire time until, I don't know, it was like a week or so after I was already back. It was ridiculous. But we saw how that whole COVID ordeal went anyway.
It was rough.
Definitely overblown, not, trying to downgrade
Yeah.
everybody who, did pass from it. 'Cause,
Right.
There
But
were
did they
people.
pass from it?
Well, some people did.
I felt
Some
like
people
a lot
did.
of people died from like gunshot wounds or
Well, that definitely
vehicle
happened.
accidents
Yes.
or
and they were marking it as
something, and then
COVID.
they were marking it as COVID.
We all know why.
Are we ever gonna find out like how many people actually
No.
like really 100%
Nope.
died from
Not.
COVID? Nope.
Exactly. Of course we're not. It'd be ridiculous to even think they're going to
Yeah.
tell the truth about
Because I'm really
something.
curious. I mean, because I remember I got COVID one time, and I remember
Mm-hmm.
thinking, this is bad. Like, I had
It was the flu.
It
That's
was-
how I felt. I've had the flu that was worse than COVID.
oh, I never did.
I did. I absolutely did.
The one godsend of COVID though, it was nothing was ever coming out both ends. Nothing ever came out any
That's
end,
true.
but it was
That's true.
severe body aches, like trampled by a herd of
Yeah,
elephants. or something.
I was in pain.
Yeah.
I was sore. I'm not going to say I was in pain. I was sore.
Yeah.
But like I said, I've had the flu where I felt worse than I felt when I had COVID.
Coming out both ends.
Food poisoning where it was like, yeah, not good times. Not good times.
Yeah, no, COVID was horrible. It sucked as much as I thought it would, but I never had trouble breathing. I remember I lost my sense of smell and taste a day, maybe. Like I don't. My sister, I think to this day.
Yeah, you said she still has issues.
has issues with taste and some.
I never
smells.
lost mine at all. Neither. Neither a smell or taste. I kept it the whole time.
Yeah.
So that's a blessing.
Yeah.
But I've always been pretty good with when I get sick. I've never really been taken down by being sick.
You're not one of those typical guys that
I mean, you were there.
Yeah, I know.
Hey,
You were really quiet. You were a quiet sick person.
Right.
You weren't that
Other than the
whiny,
coughing
like,
and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm sorry. When dudes get sick,
She's
you
not
guys turn
wrong.
into huge
You're not
babies.
wrong. We could break an arm and be fine, but once we
Yeah.
get a
You
little
get a
sniffles,
cold.
we're like, oh God.
And you,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
see,
So
it's
bad.
game over. You guys get sick, game game over. But yeah, you can like break.
Yeah, I can
right
chop my
side of
arm
your
off.
body and be like, I'm a man. It's
I know
fine."
because it was my left side, but I have done that. So
Yeah.
yes, I know it. And here I was, the entire left side of my body destroyed. I'm talking about a broken collarbone, broken ribs,
yeah, car accident.
bruised hip, a knee that's swollen 3 times its normal size. And 2 days after I get out of the hospital, I'm helping a friend move furniture. Like, I can't even straighten my leg out, and I'm supposed to be in a neck brace because I also had a cracked spine. I'm supposed to be in a sling because my collarbone.
Yeah.
And as soon as I walk out of the hospital, neck brace comes off, sling comes off, still have a broken collarbone to this day.
That's that 20-year-old mentality.
Yeah, I was 22 at the time. I'm 44 at the time now. So
do
this
it
is
now.
literally half my life ago.
God damn!
And I've been living with a broken collarbone ever since then.
Yeah.
But as soon as I walked out of that hospital, I'm like, this ain't nothing. And I'm going back to the everyday, day-to-day stuff that I did before I was even injured, like nothing ever happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, you saw how down and out I was during
Yeah.
the COVID. I wasn't a whiny bitch or
No,
anything
you were
like that.
Quite,
But
you slept.
I did.
You
I
just-
slept. Well, that's because that's always what worked for me as far as
Yeah.
when I got sick. I'd lay down, get up underneath a bunch of covers, and just sweat it out. And it always worked for me. Every time I've gotten sick, that's how I got over it quickly. Is I just sleep, sweat as much as I could, and yes, it stinks when I see you. You came in
You
the
smell
living room.
like popcorn. Popcorn. It's so.
I do when I get sweaty at work. I come home and smell like buttered popcorn.
Why?
But okay, so when I had food poisoning, same thing. I slept and I sweat a lot.
Mm-hmm.
In between the running back and forth to the bathroom to expel out of both ends. But when I had the food poisoning, when I'd leave to go to the bathroom and then come back, I could smell the smell that I had produced, and it smelled like a locker room that hadn't been cleaned in like a decade.
the
Like,
buttered popcorn.
yeah, oh no, it was bad. It was bad. It smelled awful. Gym locker room, sweaty guys. It was bad.
I'm getting a visual of that. Like, I can smell this and see the
You can see the smell.
I can see the smell. So to piggyback off of COVID, the cost of living. You and I have gotten on like this subject
Numerous times, yeah.
Jinx. Now you can't talk the rest of the podcast.
You blew it.
How?
You blew it.
Just that.
There we go. Now I can talk.
You blew it.
How the cost of living has skyrocketed since COVID, but the compensation from bosses and jobs hasn't crept up at all.
Well, our country is running off of greed right now.
Just now?
Well, I mean, more now than ever.
Yeah.
You have a few top people who have all the money, and they want it to stay that way.
Yeah.
They don't want to give anybody else a chance to do anything. They don't want to get off their lazy fat asses and do any kind of work because they think they're too good for it. They think because they're part of the elite class,
The 5%?
yes, that they shouldn't have to do anything that all of us slaves should be. And no matter how anybody wants to spin that, we're slaves. I mean, a big difference between us now and the way that slavery went is instead of us being provided shitty housing and shitty food, now we're provided shitty paychecks so we can pay for our own shitty housing and our own shitty food. But essentially, it's the same thing. We're living in the same kind of conditions. We live in basically the theme park capital of the world. And
Yeah.
when's the last time me and you went to a theme park? 2 years ago? We went to SeaWorld.
Howl Scream? Oh, just, yeah.
Well, no, we went
Just
to Aquatica.
For a day, yeah. Yeah, Aquatica.
And which I commend SeaWorld for that. Their prices are still fairly low. I mean, they're affordable. I've been here for 3 years now. I lived down here for 2 years prior to the time I'm living here now, and still have never been able to afford to go to Universal Studios. And I work 40 plus hours a week.
Yeah.
I'm a hard worker.
And it's not a desk job. It's
No,
not like,
it's not. It's a
you're
very
not
manual,
librarian.
physical
You're-
labor
you're
job.
Sweating and getting
Hurt. And I can barely afford to get by, much less spend some time at a theme park trying to enjoy myself.
right.
I haven't been to Disney since I was 4, and the only reason I got to go then was because my dad worked there at the time.
I never knew that.
Yeah. He worked at Disney as one of the cleanup guys.
Your stepdad?
No,
or
no,
your
my
dad?
real dad.
Okay.
Yeah, my real dad.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he worked there at the time doing cleanup. I'm not going to get into details of all that, but he brought us down here, took me and my brother to Disney. Only time in my life I've ever been to Disney.
Yeah.
So I had a chance to go with my mom and my stepdad. They would have loaned me the money to go. I knew I wouldn't be able to pay it back, so I told them no.
Right.
I try not to borrow anything that I know I'm not going to be able to pay back.
What? That makes you a good person.
What? Me? No.
I know.
No. I absolutely. I hate those accusations.
Yeah.
I feel like I might have to contact an attorney
Okay.
for the slanderous the accusations you're throwing out there.
Well, me growing up in Orlando since the age of 7, I've been to theme parks growing up, maybe not as a kid, but early adult. I remember having passes to SeaWorld and Aquatica, Disney, all the parks, and Universal. And I had a Universal pass,
Yeah, when we
I think
first got
just a
together.
two-park pass,
Yeah.
when we first got together, and never used it other than to buy tickets to.
Well, and also when you first got your pass, wasn't it like $35 a month or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that? And then when we
Yep.
got together, it was $75 a month.
3 years ago, I think I was paying $35 a month for the 2-park pass for just myself, because my son does not do roller coasters. Not because he's scared.
Just because
but
he
because
doesn't like them, right?
Yeah.
Same reason he doesn't watch horror movies that much, right?
He does. He
He watches some.
He's got his
Yeah,
selection.
he'll watch
But-
Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
And did he do the Nightmare on Elm Street? I don't think he,
He
did.
watched some of those with me. He watched the Freddy versus Jason, but only because that was in that Friday the 13th
universe, right?
universe.
Yeah.
But no, so yeah, 3 years ago, $35 I think I was paying for a 2-park Universal pass. I used it maybe 3 times. Would get my free ticket for
Halloween Horror Nights.
Halloween Horror Nights. I
Yeah.
almost said Hollow Scream. And then as you and I got it was 35, and then it was 50, and then it was 75, and I'm paying $75 a month for 12 months, and I think I used it one time
Well, I mean,
and got a discount on your ticket,
Right,
and I was
but-
just like, you know what?
you were paying for it while we were together, and
Right.
that's why I told you
Yeah.
cancel it
Yeah,
because
'cause you
I
didn't
can't
have to.
afford to go.
Yeah, and I didn't want to go by myself.
Right. So
Yeah.
what was the point in us just shelling money out to a company that basically says, I don't care if you can afford to
Right.
come or not,
And they
we're
don't
still
do
going to charge
refunds
you these
either.
prices.
They're just like,
Right.
yeah, for 12 months you paid $75.
Oh well, you didn't use it. That's
Sorry.
on you.
Yeah. But like you were saying, SeaWorld. I've had a SeaWorld pass for forever. I've got a two-park SeaWorld pass, me and my son, $40 a month.
Yeah.
Make it
That's not bad.
make it make sense.
Right. And you get a water park during the summer.
Right.
And then we never. When did we go to SeaWorld? We didn't go to SeaWorld except for Hallow Scream, right?
I think so.
No,
And
I
you
think
had
we
a
went
pass for the
once. I
longest
think
time,
we
too.
went once.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think we went once.
I'm sure.
I think we took. I can't remember if we took the kids there or not.
Yeah. Well, I know Christian, I've always had a pass, and you had a pass, and then you canceled it. But I get so many free guest passes. What's the point of you guys paying for
Right,
it?
yeah.
'Cause we
Yeah,
go
well,
so
that's
quick,
another good thing
which
about
reminds me,
SeaWorld.
We have to go by the 31st.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Factor that in. We'll write that down.
Yeah. Well, that comes with that whole free time that we can afford to have. So, but I don't see anything changing drastically anytime soon. I was listening to a news podcast, Breaking Point, which I highly recommend. It's a good podcast that is independent media with one person from the left, one person from the right. They don't agree on everything. They argue, but they keep it peaceful.
Yeah.
And they're truthful. So I highly recommend it. But I was listening to that today, and they were talking about how there are the fires in L.A. right now. Prayers to everybody who's having to go through that. But there are landlords out there right now who are price gouging. And they're doing it in areas that aren't even safe from the fire. They were talking about there was a house that was listed for $19,000 a month.
What?
Somebody came to, or no, actually, I think it was it was listed for $13,000 a month. Somebody came to them, clearly somebody with money, offered them $20,000 a month, which with 6 months payment in advance, and they said no, we want $23,000 a month.
Wow.
So absolute price gouging, and these are horrible, despicable people because they're doing it during a national catastrophe where people have lost their lives. Many, many, many people have lost property, and these are properties that are uninsured
Yeah.
because
Not
their
covered
coverage
by
has been
fire.
dropped.
Yep.
Yeah, their coverage has been dropped. because these greedy insurance companies want to basically say, well, we want your money, but we don't want to actually pay for anything that happens, so we can't cover you for this. If you still want to give us your money, you can, but we're not going to fix anything. So, which, we're here in Florida. Florida's done the same thing. The insurance companies here have done the same thing with hurricanes, which is, pretty ridiculous because we're in Florida. Florida has hurricanes. It's not all about making the profit. It's also about helping people out because we're all a part of the same society. I was talking to one of my coworkers today about how he was talking about one of his friends is a day trader. And I told him, I said, well, I don't like your friend. I don't even know him, but I don't like him because I think it's wrong for people to make money off of other people's money. You're not being a productive part of society. You're not benefiting the human race in any way. You're only benefiting yourself. So stuff like that should not be okay. These people have absolutely no value to society at all. They only have value to themselves. Right. And you know what? I used to have this same conversation with my ex-wife because she was a drug addict. She hung around with drug addicts, and I don't like drug addicts. And I told her flat out, they're not to be a little more specific about the conversation, I was talking about her oldest daughter's dad, who is alcoholic, drug addict. For all I know, he's not even alive anymore, but I don't know. I don't care. It's not my problem. But he wasn't a productive part of society. He gave absolutely no benefit to the human race. Well, I'm going to look down on somebody like that because, why shouldn't I? I'm here. I'm trying to be a productive part of society. Exactly. Yep. I'm providing a service to other people who can benefit from that service. I'm not out here trying to get rich. I don't run my own business where I price gouge and, profit and upsell and things like that. So, I'm firsthand the kind of person that can have an opinion on this because I'm living proof that you don't have to be that kind of person. I've got a bad background. I did a lot of bad things in my past.
Hey, you should run for president.
There is a post on my Facebook page right now that I actually hope goes viral about how now that we have a president who has been convicted of, I think it's 34 felonies, he is still our president, but yet I still have jobs that are turning me down because I have a felony
mechanic jobs.
Yeah, mechanic jobs. But not running the country. Not running the country. But a mechanic job.
No security clearance whatsoever.
Yep. I'm not allowed security clearance, even though our president, who has one of the highest security clearances in the world, he's got felonies. So why is it that I'm even being asked anymore? And thinking about this today, I'm not opposed to somebody with a felony on their record having it brought up in a job search. But I feel like it should not be available to any job that doesn't pertain to that felony. Like if I'm going somewhere and I'm trying to be an accountant, but I have, some kind of tax fraud or theft or, right. Something like that. Okay, I understand me not being able to get a job in that field. Right. But if I, let's say I was caught drunk driving, all right, but I'm going for a job where I'm working a cash register.
Yeah.
Well, why can't I work a cash register because I had a DUI? I'm not driving the cash register. Like, I'm not running the streets with a cash register. Right. It should absolutely be case by case. It's not. It's a broad spectrum. Oh, you did this? Oh, it ain't got nothing to do with what we do here, but guess what? We're not going to hire you.
Yeah.
It's not right.
It's not fair at all.
No, it's not. And
because they're trying to keep us together. They want the criminals and the lower income families mm-hmm. and the people who aren't the elite, the 5%. They want us all to be together.
Well, perfect example of how keeping people who are in low income areas together and causing a bad situation from it. I was telling the guys at work today, all the girls that grew up in my neighborhood, every one of them were pregnant by 16. Every single one of them. You know why? Because we were poor. Everybody in there is poor. Well, what do poor people do on the regular? There you go. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but, I mean, what else do they have to do? Because guess what? Fucking's free. I mean, as long as you're not paying for it, it's free. But, you can't Like we were where I grew up, there was no bus line. Uber wasn't a thing back then.
Right.
The only thing you could do is call a taxi cab, and well, we lived outside of city limits, so guess what? There's an extra fee for that, and nobody could afford that because we weren't near any places that you could get a job. The closest place you could get a job that was available to get a job, because there were a couple places around, but they were already full staff. Nobody left these places because the only places around were probably about 2 to 3 miles away. Excuse me. Who wants to walk in North Carolina? Who wants to walk 2 to 3 miles in weather that's in the teens?
Uphill in the snow?
Yeah, uphill in the snow. But, I mean, nobody wants to do that. Freezing cold, pouring down rain. Who's going to do that? So what did we do? We sold drugs. We stole things. We fucked. I mean, that's all we could do, because we couldn't afford to go anywhere. We couldn't afford to go do things, even if we could go somewhere. So
Delayed reaction. Yeah, I mean, that's about right.
And as long as there's no help for those who are in situations like that, they're never going to get out of situations like that. And when you compound that with having a record from doing dumb shit because you're put in a bad situation and it's all you got to do. I mean, hell, we did dumb shit for fun. I mean, I ended up with scars and broken bones and things like that because we did dumb shit for fun. I mean, I will say that it also allowed for a very exciting childhood, because I've done a lot of things that a lot of people haven't done. I actually got to live, whereas kids nowadays, you can barely get them out of the house. When's the last time our children have left the house? Occasionally your son goes out and rides his bicycle, but it's like once every 6 months or something like that. We bought my daughter an electric scooter, mainly because we were close enough to the school where she couldn't ride a bus.
Right.
And I didn't like her walking. It took 45 minutes for her to walk there. When we bought her the electric scooter, it took her 10 minutes to get there. So, that was the main reason why. But ever since she went to middle school, because she was in elementary school when that happened, she's on the bus line now. She hasn't touched the scooter since.
Right.
She may have ridden it once. May have. I think Christian's ridden it once and she
Probably.
hasn't. But either way, you cannot get kids off their phones, off their video games, outside in the sun, enjoying life. It just doesn't happen anymore, and it's sad.
Okay.
So, what else you want to talk about? The football refs.
Can we get this done in 10 minutes?
I got a lot I could say about them. I'll try to keep this short and sweet. I feel like ever since gambling has been legalized across the board, there have been some really, really big issues with games that seem like they may be fixed a little bit. There's been some really questions. Matter of fact, you know what? Just to bring it up because it's fresh, the Green Bay Packers Philadelphia Eagles game. Now, during the opening drive for the Green Bay Packers, on the kickoff, Nixon caught the ball, got hit, fumbled the ball, and at the end of the play, they gave the ball to Philly. But you can clearly see that Nixon gets the ball, has it in both arms, with his legs tucked around it, and one of the Eagles players had an arm in there. Never had possession of the ball. But as more Eagles players piled on, the Eagles came out with the ball. But you can clearly see that Green Bay had the ball. Nixon is laying on the ground. Therefore, plays dead.
Right.
Should have been.
I wish I'd put a picture on it.
Yeah, because it's plain to see. And yet, here we are. Philadelphia gets the ball. And I'm not saying that would have changed the outcome of the game. It may not have. But there's too many calls like that.
Yeah.
There's too many plays.
Too many blatant plays that happen that
you can clearly see it is the absolute wrong call, and nothing's being done about it. These refs are not being penalized. If a player speaks out against the refs, they get penalized. They get fined tens of thousands of dollars for saying that was a bad call. Well, wait a minute. Who's keeping these refs in check then? Because it kind of seems like they're just left to their own devices. They can do whatever they want. And if you speak out against this, we're going to punish you.
Yep.
That doesn't seem like a sport anymore. It seems like maybe the NFL is now NFL slash. Oh, I get it. I was like, wait a minute, where do I know that? Yeah, my grandmama got me that chain.
Your grandmama?
That's right. Okay, so that's my opinion on the refs. Would you like to add anything?
No, you pretty much nailed it.
Yeah. So trying to keep this somewhat short and sweet, we had a couple of topics we wanted to talk about. So our next one on the...
We can save it for next time.
Well, we still got 7 minutes, somewhere like
Yeah.
that. I mean, technically, we have more than that if we want it. But like I said, we're trying to keep this short and sweet.
Joe and I got into a debate the other day about toxic masculinity. And I was saying that toxic masculinity isn't all men being masculine. It was the men who take it to the extreme. Like, you and I were talking about anything taken to an extreme. The left, the right, anything.
It's
bad. It's
alcohol.
Toxic. Yeah. I'm drinking water.
Yeah, hey, me not to. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm drinking alcohol.
Hashtag me not too. And you were saying that toxic masculinity in and of itself it's a
contradiction.
It's a blanket over masculinity.
It's a contradiction in itself. The term in itself is a contradiction in my eyes. And this is my opinion on this, because if you're masculine, then your job is to protect feminine people.
Right.
And that doesn't just mean women. I mean, if a guy is gay, he's got a feminine side. Usually he's more of a push around than a masculine man. So that would still be somebody that you would stand up for if the situation arose. Just like we had the conversation before, the whole transgender bathroom thing, the guys going into female bathrooms.
Yeah.
Some people use the argument, well, if they go into a men's bathroom, then they risk themselves getting injured or something like that. Well, first off, if they go into a men's bathroom and men in there, whether it be one man or two or five or whatever,
right,
start ripping on them, there should be an actual man in there who stands up and says, y'all leave them the fuck alone.
Yeah.
Like, you don't do that to people. This
Agreed.
person has a right to be who they want to be.
Right. And they have a right to be in here.
Right. So, again, that goes back to where toxic masculinity is not a thing. Because if you're toxic, you're not masculine. You're a piece of shit if you're toxic. Plain and simple. Masculine doesn't belong in a description for somebody who's toxic. Because I'm masculine. I have been toxic. In my younger days, I was absolutely toxic. But I was also not masculine. Once I became masculine was when I turned into a better person. That's when I actually became a man. Yes, I had manly features, I had a manly stature, but was I masculine? No, because I was a piece of shit. Masculinity is a good thing by nature. You're not supposed to be putting women down. You're not supposed to be abusing women. You're not supposed to be treating women like property.
Right.
We watched the whole Brittany Murphy documentary, and
wow, yeah.
see, like, I would not say that guy. I would not put masculine in any sentence pertaining to this Monjack guy.
Right.
Just
well,
putting
in
the
the
last
sense that
name
you're talking
on
about, no, that wasn't masculinity, but it was toxic.
It was very toxic.
When the words are thrown around, toxic masculinity, it's not. It's not.
Again, I think it's a contradiction.
Taking men into like all men are bad.
I
but
get
there's
what
the
you're saying.
toxic side to a man, like you said, who is abusive towards women or children or
That's
other
just toxic.
guys. Right.
That's not masculine at all. There's nothing masculine about that.
No, it's not.
So I don't think that should be a term. I don't think it should be used. It definitely shouldn't be thrown around the way it is, because when you put that together, you include all men who are masculine, because masculine is a good thing, period. It can't be a bad thing. You can't take something good and turn it into a good bad thing. It doesn't work like that. That's like saying you're an evil butterfly. What? Like, how does that work? It doesn't. It doesn't.
What
You can't
the
be
fuck?
an evil butterfly. Like, if
You don't know that.
you're such
What
a
the
horrible
fuck?
butterfly.
I've never been friends with a butterfly, but I'm sure there's got to be at least a couple nasty butterflies.
I mean, I guess. I've never seen one. I know I've never been bitten by a butterfly. I've been bitten by a moth. It hurts. I've also been bitten by a grasshopper. What? I know. A lot of people are like,
Bruh.
No, they see. A lot of people are like, when I've said that before, they're like, I didn't know they bite. Yes, they bite and they hurt. Yeah, it's crazy.
What?
Oh yeah, but I was one of those kids who played with bugs all the time and didn't bother me. There's nothing that scares me.
We can go another 15 minutes. It's good conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing that scares me. So this is how I like to put it. I'm not scared of anything, but like if I'm out in the woods and I see a bear, I know better than to approach the bear.
You're not going to try to give it a hug?
I thought about it a couple times. I actually had my mom's second husband, his brother, they were at some kind of carnival or something like that, and they had a bear there, and he tried to convince the owner of the carnival to let him in the cage to wrestle the bear. Yeah.
What?
Was dead serious about it, too. 100% serious.
North Carolina, man.
Well, hey, so that brings up this. This is probably one of the most ridiculous things I ever heard. He also had a brother that came home from school one day after getting into a fight, and he had a brand new button-up shirt on. All the buttons got ripped off. And when he came in the house, now this is just secondhand story for me, so I don't know if it's true per se, but it's funny. He came in the house. His mom said, "What happened to your shirt?" He said, "The wind blew the buttons off."
What the fuck, y'all? God damn!
No.
So, anyway, this is a fun little story I wanted to share.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to get into the last topic?
We're gonna agree to disagree on that. I understand, and I believe that there is a such thing as toxic masculinity, but you're saying
Well,
that's-
everybody has
that's
their
not a thing.
opinions. Mine are right, but everybody has.
Bruh.
Fellow man. back
And
there.
you've heard me say it 1,000 times. I'll say it again. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. They all stink, and nobody wants to hear them.
You big dummy.
So does that lead us into the next topic?
Mansplaining?
Mansplaining.
Right.
Yeah, everybody loves this term, right? Mansplaining. Well, wait. So if there's a mansplaining, is there a womansplaining too?
I'm sure. Hell
All right.
yeah.
Well, why don't I ever hear that word thrown around?
No, because
Please, womansplain it to me.
That's one explaining.
They can't even explain it. That's when they just throw something out there and there's no explanation to it.
you're being toxic.
There we go. See, exactly. Toxic masculinity. That's part of that womansplaining right there.
My understanding of mansplaining is you are a man trying to explain to a woman something that we know, and that you just, I don't know. I feel like it's like you think we're too stupid to figure something out, so you like break it down into like layman's dummy terms. Like what do I usually say? Like, I can't even think of like the word of them. Like when someone's like
Look, I can't help but think about. So I can't help but think about this meme that I see on Facebook. I've seen it quite a few times. I hadn't seen it in a while. But there's this meme that I've seen on Facebook, and it has this cartoon drawing of a man's head and a woman's head, and the woman's got like trying to make a wheel, but it's square, and the guy's like, "No, you need to make it like this," and shows a round wheel, and the woman's yelling at him, "Stop mansplaining things to me." That's exactly how it is. Like, we try to explain something to you, yes, in layman's terms, so that you know the most simple way to do it.
dumb it down for me. That's what I always say.
Our fault. That's
What's wrong with dumbing something down? If you're not getting it right,
Well, no, I get that. That wouldn't be mansplaining to me, but it's like
but that's
I'm
the
trying to
word
think of
gets
an
thrown
instance where-
around
yeah.
so much
It
that
does.
anything that a man does trying to explain something to a woman is mansplaining. You're not guilty of that. You've only
I'll say it joking.
Yeah, you've only said that term jokingly to me, which is it's
You know better. You get couches.
well, no, it's because I don't try to degrade or demean her.
I never feel like I don't feel like he ever thinks that
And
he's superior to me and
I'm
smarter
also pretty knowledgeable when it comes to damn near anything. So I can explain something.
He does know a little bit about a lot, but not a lot about a little.
You big dummy.
No, she's not wrong about that. Hey, what were we talking about last night though? When we were sitting on the couch watching Dexter: Original Sin, and I was on my phone, and I believe your exact statement was, oh, now you're like me. You're just on your phone, not even paying attention. And I said, I'm paying attention. You said, well, what happened then? And I explained to you like the last 5 minutes of everything that happened.
So annoyed. And I looked at him, I was like, this was you in school, wasn't it? You could have fell asleep on the desk and absorbed everything the teacher said, but here I am with the voice recorder set up on my damn desk, taking notes. Like,
and yes, this is how I was in
failing
school.
the test.
This is absolutely how I was in school. I never paid attention to anything. I slept. If I wasn't cutting up in class and getting kicked out of class, I was one of the only students in the school who had a permanent seat outside the principal's office.
in the principal's office.
Yeah. I was also one of the only people that I've ever met that got kicked out of school before school even started. I got off of the school bus. I started walking across the parking lot. The vice principal, whose name was Mr. Hambacker, came up to me. He said,
He sounds like a douche.
oh, he Handbacker. Yeah, okay. Now, and just some perspective on this too. I don't know if he had a stroke or what had happened. He was still the vice principal at the school, but he had his hand was always going like this. Like he'd have it down by his side, and it was just always going like it may have been early onset Parkinson's, but I called him Handjacker because it always looked like he was jacking his dick. So, I got off the school bus, started walking across the parking lot. He walks up to me, says, "Mr. Knupp, how's today going to go?" I looked at him, I said, "How do you think it's going to go?" He said, "Do I need to send you home?" I said, "More than likely." He said, "All right, let's go ahead and go call your mom."
Aw.
So we did. And I'm sitting outside waiting for my mom to come pick me up, and I see the middle school bus go by. And I'm just sitting. I was also telling another story about one of my school days earlier today to some of my coworkers. Excuse me. So I was a smoker. When I was young, I started smoking cigarettes at 13 years old. I smoked I smoked for 16 years. You do the math. I don't feel like doing it. So, I smoked for a long time. And I've been quit for going on 15 years now.
Been quit.
Been done quit.
Been done quit.
15 years now. Thank you. But I was standing outside, and the way my school is in the middle of the school almost was the cafeteria. The only building that was behind the cafeteria was the woodshop building. And there was a breezeway behind the cafeteria that, you could come out of the cafeteria, walk down the breezeway, and then over towards the side behind the cafeteria, there were some classes. The gymnasium was all the way across the campus, but on the back side of it. And I'm standing out on the breezeway, and I'm smoking a cigarette, and one of the teachers comes up to me and says, "Mr. Knupp, you're not supposed to be smoking out here, right?" I said, "Yeah, I know." He said, "Well, you going to hand me that pack of cigarettes?" Because I had a fresh pack of Marlboro Reds. Yeah, I smoked Marlboro Reds at the time. I went through several different brands of cigarettes. But he says, "You going to hand me that pack of cigarettes?" I looked at him. I said, "You going to hand me $3?" He said, "Well, you're either going to hand me that pack of cigarettes or you're going to go up to the principal's office." I said, "Well, I guess I'm going to the principal's office then." So I go up to the principal's office. I sit down. He said, "Mr. Knupp, this was Handbacker again." Oh, yeah, he hated me. Handjacker, that's right. So I sit down in his office, and he says, "So I hear you're out behind the cafeteria smoking." I said, "Yeah, I sure was." He said, "You still got those cigarettes?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You going to give them to me?" I said, "You going to give me $3?" Cigarettes were only $3 at the time. Actually, they were $2.60 or something like that. Yeah, just round it up. I told him the same thing. You give me the money to go buy another pack, sure, you can have this pack. So, of course, he sent me home. Yeah. So, after all of this stuff transpired, after skipping school and getting in trouble constantly, getting in fights all the time, finally, my mom, this was towards the end of my, I guess it was about the middle of my first year in the 9th grade. My mom gets called up to the principal's office. I say it like she went to school. She gets called by the principal and comes up to speak with the principal about me. And I'm sitting in his office, and my mom walks in there, and she sits down. And as soon as she sits down, she's like, "What now?" And the vice principal, Mr. Handjacker, he's like, "Well, Miss, I believe she was on the second marriage at the time." Yeah, hey, Mom, if you're watching.
I was talking to Handjacker, but
oh no,
You blew it.
I'm not gonna go. He's probably not with us anymore.
You blew it.
my mom sits down and he says, Miss Lane, we're going to have to do something about your son. He's constantly in trouble. My mom stops him right there and says, why don't you just expel him? He's barely coming anyway. Oh, yeah. So that's what happened. I ended up getting expelled for the rest of the year. And then the very next year, me and, at the time, my best friend, Timmy, we're sitting at his house. His first day, you know, we got up to get ready for school and everything. And I sit down, I look at him, I'm like, man, I don't even feel like going. He's like, man, I really don't either. I was like, let's just not go. So we didn't go that day. And then the next day, we woke up, got ready. I was like, I still don't feel like going. He's like, yeah, I don't. So again, we didn't go the next. Third day rolls around. I get up. I'm like, man, I'm tired of doing this. Let's just not go to school anymore. And that was it.
How old are you?
I was 15 at the time. Oh, yeah, 15. Yeah. Hey, you know what? I went back. I got my GED. Took me a long time, but not to get my GED. That was quick. That was easy. No, it was a breeze. I was
You big dummy!
Class. I was tutoring the GED class before I even had my GED because I went in there and breezed through all the tests. Like I'm not an idiot. I'm fairly smart.
I'm not either, but it's super frustrating to come across people like you that just
I get it.
absorb everything.
We take it in through osmosis. That's all it is. You know, just
Like,
anything
into
around
your
soaks
pores,
right.
like,
Yeah, it just soaks
teach
right
me.
in. Yeah.
That's not fair.
Yeah, how many times have I fallen asleep while you're watching something, and the next day you start telling me about it? I'm like, oh yeah, no, I heard it. Yeah, I heard all that.
Yeah.
And like I'm over there snoring, and I'm like, yeah, I heard that. So
And I've gone down this rabbit hole lately of documentaries. Like I'm
you
learning
have.
about how Brittany Murphy died and like all this Kevin Spacey
John Benet
stuff
Ramsey,
and John
Kevin
Benet Ramsey.
Spacey.
And I feel horrible because when stuff hit the fan, like in 95, 96 or whatever, I went with the bandwagon, like what everybody was saying. And watching these things now, I'm like, Brittany Murphy didn't kill
right. I
herself.
always thought
There
she
was
died from an
no
overdose,
drugs.
and yeah, there
There
was
no
nothing.
drugs, no alcohol in her system.
And look,
at
I'm going to go
all.
ahead and put this out there, and I don't give a shit if he was known as the king of talk show radio or whatever.
Oh,
Howard Stern is a fucking idiot.
Yeah, he's an
Like,
asshole.
he
I've always known he was an
he
asshole.
actually got on air and said that Brittany Murphy was the fat, ugly one. And I had to go back and look because Clueless is one of my favorite movies.
I love that movie.
Clueless is literally my number 2 movie of all time. Clueless, I know it sounds
Very masculine movie, by the way.
yes, absolutely, 100%, super. Yeah, exactly. All about the tough little boys and
Yeah,
everything.
Brittany Murphy wasn't your girl. It was
No, I love to live. Actually, Stacey Dash.
Stacey Dash.
Stacey Dash was the hottest one in that movie. I know. Don't get me wrong. I had a crush on Alicia Silverstone too back then. Yeah, I'm gonna stay away from my opinion on all that now. But yeah, so Brittany Murphy, I was not a huge fan. Not a huge fan of. She was a good actress. I liked her in the movie, but
That was my first introduction to her. But she's
Mine
been
too.
doing stuff since
I did.
childhood.
Well, okay, so that probably wasn't my first introduction to her because I watched Boy Meets World. And
Yeah.
What were the other shows? They showed
They
a bunch
mentioned,
of
like,
shows
3
that she was
TV
in, and I was
shows,
like,
and we were
damn,
like, what?
I don't remember
Yeah.
her in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw all those, so I
Yeah.
probably saw her. But I had to go back. Like I just Googled the cover. The movie poster for Clueless Today,
Yeah.
and I'm looking at. I came home while we were reading that.
And
I was like, look at this. I was like, is she fat? Like,
No.
not fat at all. Not even close to fat. Would never be called fat in today's standards or anything. Like just nowhere near it. But Howard Stern's retarded self is
Yeah.
on air
Yeah.
talking about how she's the fat,
That
ugly one.
Yeah.
No, let's
Lord.
not worry about somebody's self-esteem. Who I mean, from we what they talked about in the
Because,
documentary,
you know,
she already
Howard
had
Stern
some
was ever
self-esteem.
featured in People's Magazine as the sexiest man
Right.
on the planet.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about a dude who's like 6'7" and like 4 pounds. Yeah, because you're the sex symbol. Anyway.
Yeah, I was mad. But
Yeah.
yeah, all these documentaries that I'm watching now, I'm like,
Well, I mean, even the John Benet Ramsey one, there was a lot of stuff in that you didn't know about. I had watched a previous documentary about it a couple years back, so I knew some of the stuff that they were talking about. But
yeah, I was.
yeah, you should, I mean, a lot of these things are being made nowadays, and it's like, okay, so the Menendez brothers when
Yeah.
that was on Netflix,
Oh, and I was
there
watching the Jared Subway guy.
oh yeah, that one too. Yeah,
Wow.
Man.
Wow.
that piece of shit.
I just remember hearing that he was like a pedophile or whatever, but watching the documentary that I watched, it took 10 years. This woman, Rochelle something or other.
Taylor. I think it was Rochelle
Yeah,
Taylor.
she was like a radio personality. And the minute they met for the first interview, he was touching her inappropriately and like leaned over and said something to her. So from that minute on, she was just like, I'm going to catch this mofo.
Yeah, and
for
actually,
years,
because she was in Florida,
recorded him.
recorded the conversations,
Yeah.
and they couldn't be used because Florida is one of those stupid states that says both parties have to get consent for recording. Is
Yeah.
Maryland too?
But the reason why
38
Jared was
states
taken
are
down-
not like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's smart because if somebody's doing something wrong and they're stupid enough to admit it over the phone, you shouldn't need their consent.
I wanted
Yeah.
to record you. Talk
Right, yeah, because they're definitely going to say it when you tell them you're recording.
Well, he was dumb enough to say it and couldn't be
But-
used. And the only
well,
reason
that's
why
'cause
Jared
it-
was taken down was because his manager
Yeah.
got in trouble for bestiality or something. And then they did
Yeah.
a
I didn't know about
a
this.
deep dive on, I forget his name. It was Russell or something,
Russell something. yeah.
Taylor or something. I don't know. But yeah, Jared got taken down because of emails
Russell
that
Wallace,
were
I think it
exchanged.
was.
It was something. I thought
Something
it was
like
Russell Taylor.
I thought it was Rochelle Taylor.
Yeah.
Something
Either
like
way.
that. Anyway.
So Jared finally gets pulled down off his pedestal after 10 years. And the whole thing with Kevin Spacey,
Yeah.
it started in high school with him touching.
And it sucks because he was a good actor too.
Yeah.
He was a good actor.
Yeah. No, I mean, but yeah.
I mean, I know I loved what was that movie? American Beauty. Great movie.
Yeah.
Great movie. He was a kind of a creep in that movie. He was definitely a creep in that movie, but it was a good movie. He's a good actor.
And he won an award for that, basically
Yep.
acting like himself,
Yeah.
apparently.
Apparently.
because, you know,
I guess they picked
it
the perfect
comes
person
out-
for 7 too.
it
huh?
comes out. Yeah.
We almost went and saw that in the theaters for the re-release. I'm kind of upset that we didn't.
Yeah, we ended up.
Yeah, it's a great movie, and I never got to see it in the theaters, and I would have liked to.
Yeah. Well, anyways, let's wrap up our first podcast because I feel like we've
Where they can subscribe to.
gone all over.
All right, so
Yeah,
Gympire
so
Podcast.
Gympire Podcast.
Yeah, look us up. We're on
YouTube.
YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if we created a Facebook page. Did
No,
we?
not
we
yet.
probably should.
We probably should.
But you can find. I'm not going to announce my Facebook page because I have reasons why my Facebook page is not under my name
Yes,
anyway.
We'll definitely share and post the link.
Yeah. But if you'd like to put your Facebook page out there so that people can find you to find the podcast or whatever, it's on you. Plus, you got your cleaning business.
Yeah.
Anybody needs their house clean, wonderful person to do it right here.
I don't
Very
remember what I
thorough.
changed my name to because it used to just be April Rose and now it's April.
I think it's April
April
Cuellar
Cuellar
Soares.
Soares.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, look for this face.
Don't look for this one.
That's our profile.
Yeah, don't
picture.
look for that one. You won't find it.
Look at that face.
Yeah, but you won't find the face if you're looking for it. Unless you're friends of mine, you can't see anything on
Well,
my
no, but
page.
that's
so.
my profile picture on my Facebook.
Yeah, if you're friends of mine and you're watching this, then you already know how to find me. So
Yeah,
there we
true.
go.
That is true.
But anybody who is subscribed to RIP TV, who would like to subscribe to ours as well,
Yeah, if you want to come into the insane brain of two Geminis.
yeah, we'll put the link out there, and we'd love to have you subscribe to us. And I'm not going to be like one of those people who are like and subscribe. It's over here. Yeah.
Here, here.
And definitely not going to say it 7 times in a video.
That wouldn't be massive.
Yeah, well, it would be toxic
That would be toxic
masculinity, right?
masculinity.
Well, let me mansplain how it would be.
Well, let me womansplain
Well,
how.
wait a minute. Do we need to get the refs in here to decide
Yeah,
whether
yeah,
it
yeah.
stands or
Right
not?
on
All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you for joining us tonight. It was
for
fun
listening.
doing this. I'm good at that. What can I say?
Mansplaining to America.
But thank you guys.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.